The morning sun was gentle when Mina stepped out of her small house at the edge of the town. Her house was not large, only 2 small rooms with old brick walls, but it had always been filled with warmth because she and her son shared it with love. That day her heart was racing faster than usual, and her steps felt lighter, even though her shoes were worn out from years of use. It was the day her son, Armin, would graduate from the military academy. For years, she had dreamed of this moment. Every night when she prayed before sleeping, she had asked for only one blessing: to see her son stand tall in uniform, to see him respected, and to know that her sacrifices had not gone unnoticed by life. Mina had raised Arman alone. Her husband had passed away when Arman was very young. She had worked as a cleaner at the local school and sometimes washed clothes for neighbors to earn a little extra. With the little money she made, she bought food, paid the rent, and managed school expenses. Many nights she ate only a small piece of bread so that Armin could have a full plate. Yet she never complained, because she believed her son's future was worth every struggle. That morning she wore her best scarf, carefully ironed the night before, and her simple dress that she had mended many times but kept clean. She had polished her old shoes until they looked almost new. She did not own jewelry or fancy bags, but she carried an invitation card proudly in her hand. The card had Armin's name printed on it, and that was all the beauty she needed. As she walked through the streets, some people smiled at her kindly while others barely noticed her. Mina did not mind. Her mind was only on the moment she would sit inside the grand hall and watch her son march with his fellow cadets. She imagined his face when he looked into the crowd and saw her smiling back at him. When she reached the academy gates, her heart beat faster. The building stood tall and shining with flags waving in the breeze. Families were arriving in fine cars, dressed in elegant clothes, carrying cameras and flowers. Mothers wore bright silk dresses, fathers wore polished suits, and children ran around excitedly. Mina felt a small pinch in her heart when she looked down at her own plain dress, but she quickly reminded herself that it did not matter. Clothes did not define love. She had the same right as everyone else to be there, because she was the proud mother of a graduating cadet. She held her invitation firmly and walked toward the entrance. 2 guards stood there, their uniforms neat and their faces serious. They were checking invitations and letting people in. When Mina reached them, she smiled warmly and handed her card. The first guard, tall and broad-shouldered, looked at the card and then looked at her from head to toe. His eyes narrowed slightly. The second guard, younger but equally stern, leaned closer and whispered something to the tall guard. Both of them exchanged glances that made Mina uncomfortable. The tall guard finally spoke. His voice was not harsh but carried a tone of doubt. He asked where she had gotten the card. Mina replied gently that it was given to her by her son, who was graduating today. She explained that she was his mother and had come only to see him. The younger guard frowned. He said the hall was filled with important people, and only invited guests of honor and families of officers could enter. Mina showed the printed name on the card again and told them she had traveled here only for this day. But instead of letting her in, the guards chuckled quietly. One of them said she could wait outside because the place inside was too fine for someone like her. Mina's cheeks turned red, not from anger, but from shame. For a moment she wanted to argue, but her humble nature stopped her. She never liked quarrels. She stepped back slowly and stood near the wall, clutching her card tightly. Families continued to walk past her, the guards greeting them with respect, yet no one noticed her silent tears. She wiped them away quickly because she did not want anyone to see. Mina thought of Armin inside, preparing to march proudly. She imagined him looking for her in the crowd. A deep ache grew in her chest, but she reminded herself that she had endured worse struggles in life. If she could work long nights and go, hungry for his education, she could also stand outside the gate for his happiness. Still, her heart whispered that this day was meant to be different. This was not just any ceremony. It was the moment she had been waiting for all these years. She wanted to see Armin step onto the stage and know that his mother was there to witness it. Time passed slowly as she stood outside. She noticed how the sky had grown brighter, how the sound of music drifted faintly from inside, and how the voices of people clapping filled the air. Every clap seemed to reach her ears like a reminder that she was missing what she had dreamed of. She sat down on a bench near the gate, holding her bag tightly. Inside her bag, she had kept a small gift for Armin, a simple pen with his name engraved on it. She had saved coins for months to buy it. She wanted to give it to him after the ceremony, as a token of his new journey. Her eyes grew moist again, but she lifted her chin and whispered softly to herself. She said that no matter what, she was proud. Even if she could not see it with her eyes, she knew in her heart that her son was standing tall, and that was enough. What Mina did not know was that her patience and dignity were not going unnoticed. Life had a way of testing the humble, but also a way of rewarding them in unexpected moments. Her story at the gate was about to take a turn that she could never have imagined, and the world inside the hall was about to see that greatness does not always arrive in fine clothes, but sometimes in the quiet strength of a mother who never gave up. Mina's heart beat unevenly as she watched families and guests enter the grand hall. She stood near the gate, holding her small bag close and clutching the invitation tightly. She could see the tall marble pillars and the large glass doors through which her son and the other cadets would soon appear. The music and applause floated gently through the air, but to her it sounded distant and unreachable. She had imagined entering the hall, walking to her seat, and seeing Armin smile at her as he marched proudly in his uniform. Now all that seemed far away. The taller guard, whose name she never knew, stepped closer and blocked her path. He looked her over again, his expression unreadable, and then shook his head. "You cannot come in," he said, his voice calm but firm. "This event is only for families of officers and invited guests of honor." Mina's lips trembled slightly. "Sir," she said softly, "my son is graduating today. I have an invitation. I am his mother." She extended her hand with the card, hoping it would convince him. The guard took the card and glanced at it briefly. He handed it back without a word. The younger guard smirked. "This does not look like a proper invitation for someone of your appearance," he said, his words gentle but cutting. Mina's chest tightened. She had faced many challenges in life, but hearing these words stung in a way she could not easily ignore. She felt a wave of shame rise, but she swallowed it quickly. She had raised Armand with love, honesty, and courage. She would not let anyone take away her dignity, nor would she let them take away her right to be with her son. "I only wish to see my son graduate," she said, her voice steady, though soft. "I have worked all my life for him. Today is his special day. Please allow me to enter." The tall guard shifted slightly and whispered something to his companion. The younger guard laughed quietly. "It is not about your son," he said. "The hall is filled with important guests. We cannot let just anyone in." Mina shook her head, trying to hide the tears forming in her eyes. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Sir, I do not need anyone to treat me as important. I only need to be with my son. That is all." A group of families entered past them, their laughter and voices ringing loudly in the air. Mina watched as a father helped his young daughter find her seat, and a mother adjusted the silk dress of her daughter. She could see their pride and happiness, and yet she felt a strange mix of hope and despair. She had no fine dress or jewelry, no luxury car, but she had her son, and that should have been enough. The taller guard finally spoke again. "Madam, I understand your words, but the rules are rules. You cannot enter without proper verification." Mina's heart sank. "This card is verification," she said quietly, showing it again. "It has my son's name, and he invited me here. I promise I am not here for anything else." The younger guard shook his head. "It is not about promises. The ceremony is controlled. Only selected families may enter. You will have to wait outside." Mina felt a quiet ache, but she refused to argue further. She knew that force or anger would not help. Instead, she took a small step back and nodded respectfully. She walked slowly to a bench near the gate, sitting down with her bag in her lap. She glanced at the tall pillars and the large glass doors, imagining Armand preparing to march through them. Her heart swelled with pride, even though her eyes filled with tears. She thought of Armand as a little boy, running to her every day after school. She remembered helping him with his homework, holding his hand when he fell, and praising him for every small success. She had always told him that he could achieve anything if he worked hard and stayed honest. And now he had. He had reached the academy, worked tirelessly for years, and was about to graduate. Even though she could not enter, Mina felt a warmth in her heart. She whispered to herself, I am proud of you, my son. You did it. Time passed slowly. Families continued to come and go, their voices laughing, their cameras clicking. She saw young cadets in crisp uniforms walking with their parents, their heads held high. Mina's eyes searched every corner of the hall, hoping to spot Armin. She could not see him yet, but she imagined his proud face, his straight posture, and his sharp uniform. Mina reached into her bag and touched the small gift she had prepared for him. It was a simple pen with his name engraved on it. She had saved money for months to buy it. She wanted him to have something to remember this day, a token of her love and sacrifices. Holding it made her heart both heavy and joyful at the same time. Suddenly, a young woman standing nearby noticed her. "Are you here to see your son graduate?" she asked. Mina nodded softly. The woman smiled gently. "I'm sorry. The guards are very strict. Many families face the same problem, especially those who cannot afford fancy clothes or cars. But do not lose hope. Sometimes special arrangements are made." Mina smiled faintly, feeling a small comfort in the kind words. She thanked the woman and returned her gaze to the gate. Her mind wandered to the early days when Armand had started his journey. She remembered the day he had announced that he wanted to join the academy. She had been both proud and worried. The academy demanded discipline, courage, and hard work. It was not easy, and she knew that life there could be challenging. But she had always encouraged him. She told him that he had the strength to succeed, and he never let her down. As she sat on the bench, she felt memories of their struggles come rushing back. Nights when there was barely enough food, days when she walked miles carrying laundry for neighbors, and moments when she had saved coins to buy books for Armin. Every hardship had been a step toward this day. Every tear and every sacrifice had been for him. The guards watched her quietly, unaware that they were witnessing a story of resilience and love. Mina's simple presence held more strength than they could ever imagine. She did not complain loudly. She did not demand attention. She only waited quietly, full of hope and pride, even when the world treated her as if she did not belong. Inside the hall, the ceremony began. Mina could hear the faint sound of music and applause, the voices of speakers and the rhythm of marching cadets. Her heart quickened. She closed her eyes for a moment, imagining Armin standing tall in his uniform, the pride in his eyes when he saw his mother among the crowd. She imagined the moment when he would walk across the stage, receive his certificate, and glance toward her. A sudden breeze rustled through the open gate, and Mina shivered slightly. She adjusted her scarf and looked around. Other families were seated inside, clapping for their children. She watched a mother adjust her daughter's dress, a father snap a photo, and a group of friends laughed joyfully. The scene made Mina's heart ache, but it also filled her with determination. She would not leave. She would wait quietly, humbly, and with hope. Minutes turned into longer minutes. Mina noticed the small gestures of kindness around her. A young boy offered her a seat on the bench. A janitor smiled warmly as he passed by. Even in her moment of struggle, she saw the goodness of people. She held on to that, letting it give her strength. Then something unexpected happened. One of the young cadets preparing for the ceremony looked toward the gate. His eyes scanned the crowd and they landed on Mina. He recognized her instantly. It was Armin's best friend, who had often spoken about Mina's sacrifices for her son. He ran toward the guards and whispered something to them. The guards frowned and shook their heads, but Mina did not hear the words. She only saw hope flicker in the cadet's eyes. Her heart raced. She could not move, but inside, she felt a small spark of faith. She whispered again, "Please let me see him. Please let me be with him." The cadet returned to the hall, gesturing subtly to someone inside. Mina did not understand what was happening yet, but she felt a strange feeling, as if the universe was quietly preparing to change her fate. She sat straight on the bench, her hands tightly clasping her bag, her eyes fixed on the glass doors, waiting for the moment that would allow her to step inside. Mina did not know it, but the story of a simple mother being stopped by the rules was about to take a turn. Life had a way of rewarding patience, humility, and love. Her quiet dignity was about to be noticed in a way that no one expected, and the moment of reunion between a mother and her son was closer than she realized. Inside the grand hall, the atmosphere was filled with excitement and pride. Rows of polished chairs were neatly arranged, each occupied by families dressed in their best clothes. The walls were decorated with banners displaying the Academy's emblem, shining under the soft glow of chandeliers. The music played softly in the background, signaling that the ceremony was about to begin. Armand stood among his fellow cadets, his uniform crisp and shining. He felt a mixture of pride, nervousness, and anticipation. Years of hard work, training, and sacrifice had brought him to this very moment. He straightened his back, adjusted his tie, and took a deep breath. He had dreamed of this day for as long as he could remember, and yet a small part of him felt incomplete. His eyes scanned the crowd as the cadets began marching in. Families clapped, cheered, and waved as their children walked proudly past them. Armand's gaze searched eagerly for a familiar face, a face that had always supported him no matter the circumstance. He looked for his mother. Mina sat quietly on the bench outside the hall, unaware that Armand was already inside. Her heart was full of hope yet tinged with worry. She imagined him looking for her in the crowd and feeling disappointed when he did not see her. She could not imagine how that would feel, and she wished she could be inside, sitting quietly among the other families, silently cheering for her son. As the ceremony progressed, the cadets marched to their designated spots on stage. The academy head stepped forward and welcomed the guests. He spoke of honor, courage, and discipline, praising the young cadets for their commitment and hard work. Families clapped, and the room filled with a sense of accomplishment and pride. Armand's eyes darted around the hall, trying to spot his mother among the guests. He knew she had come to see him, but he could not find her. A knot of worry formed in his stomach. He had promised her that she would be by his side on this important day. He felt a strange emptiness, as if something essential was missing. One of his friends, noticing his concern, whispered, "Don't worry, she will be here. Maybe she is just waiting outside." Armand nodded, but the thought of her standing alone outside made him uneasy. He knew his mother would never try to push past the guards. She was humble, patient, and always respectful, even when life treated her unfairly. Meanwhile, outside, Mina held her small gift for Armand, a pen engraved with his name. She had saved for months to buy it, imagining him using it as he signed his first official documents or wrote letters home during his training. Holding it now, she felt both joy and sorrow. She wanted to give it to him immediately to see the smile on his face, but she also knew she had to wait. As the ceremony continued, speeches were given by instructors and officers. They spoke of courage, teamwork, and dedication. Each speech reminded Mina of the countless nights she had spent worrying about Armand's future. She remembered the long evenings when he had studied by candlelight because they could not afford electricity at times. She remembered the sacrifices she had made to ensure he had books, food, and encouragement to keep going. Inside the hall, Armand's eyes finally landed on a familiar figure outside the window. Though he could not see her face clearly, he recognized the posture, the way she held her bag tightly, and the quiet dignity that had always been part of her. His heart leapt. He wanted to run to her to hold her hand, but he knew he could not leave his position on the stage. The ceremony moved forward with precision. Cadets were called one by one to receive their medals and certificates. The applause was loud, and the pride of families filled the air. Armand's name had not yet been called, and each passing moment made his heart beat faster. He wanted to see his mother before he stepped onto the stage. Mina, standing near the gate, noticed the movements inside the hall. She could see shadows and shapes moving past the glass doors. Her eyes scanned every face, searching for her son. She whispered his name softly, almost like a prayer. "Armand, my son, I am here." Her voice carried a mix of hope and determination. Inside, Armand's turn finally came. His name was called, and he marched forward, his steps measured and steady. He took each step with pride, but his eyes were fixed on the back of the hall, hoping to catch a glimpse of his mother. He felt a surge of emotion as he approached the stage. The applause of the crowd echoed in his ears, and the sight of families cheering for their children reminded him of the mother who had done so much for him in silence. As he received his certificate, he looked toward the audience once more. The hope in his heart refused to fade. He scanned the room again, and though he could not see her, he felt a strong presence, like an invisible thread connecting them across the distance of the hall and gate. Mina, outside, remained patient. She had learned patience through years of struggle and sacrifice. She had waited quietly for years while Armand studied, trained, and grew into a young man. She had faced hunger, exhaustion, and loneliness, but she had never given up. Her waiting now was no different. A few moments later, a small commotion occurred near the entrance. One of the cadets, Armin's best friend, had noticed Mina standing outside. He recognized her from the stories Armin had told him over the years. The cadet approached the guards and explained who she was, insisting that she should be allowed to enter and watch the ceremony. The guards, however, remained firm. They were used to following rules strictly and were hesitant to bend them for anyone, no matter the circumstances. Mina did not argue. She remained calm, trusting that something good would happen if she stayed patient. Inside the hall, Armin had finished receiving his certificate. He walked back to his position, feeling a mixture of pride and worry. He wanted to share this moment with his mother. He imagined her smile, the way she had always encouraged him, and the quiet strength that had guided him through life. The ceremony continued with more speeches and acknowledgments. Mina watched from the bench, feeling each word resonate with her own experiences. She had taught Armin about courage, discipline, and honesty, and now she saw those lessons reflected in him as he stood tall among his fellow cadets. As the event drew closer to its conclusion, Mina's patience was finally rewarded. 6 men in sharp navy uniforms entered the hall. They were SEALs, highly respected and decorated officers invited as special guests. They had noticed Mina outside and after hearing her story decided to help. They approached the guards with confidence and authority, ensuring that Mina would be escorted inside. The guards, seeing the SEAL's presence, did not object. They stepped aside respectfully, allowing Mina to enter the hall. For the first time that day, she felt a surge of joy and relief. Her feet moved carefully across the floor, her heart racing with anticipation. She could finally see her son up close. Armin's eyes widened when he saw her enter, escorted by the SEALs. His chest swelled with pride and tears threatened to fall. The moment he had longed for was finally here. His mother, patient and humble, had been brought into the hall by men who understood respect, honor, and loyalty. As Mina walked toward her seat, the crowd turned their heads. People whispered in admiration at the sight of a mother being honored in this way. She sat down quietly, her hands trembling slightly, her eyes fixed on Armin. The connection between mother and son was immediate and powerful. Though the hall was filled with hundreds of people, nothing else mattered to them. Armin had never felt such relief and happiness. He knew that his success was not just his own, it was theirs together. Every step he had taken, every challenge he had overcome had been guided by her love and support. Mina's eyes glistened with tears of pride and joy. She watched her son, knowing that the struggles they had faced together had led to this moment. She whispered softly to herself, "My son, my pride, my joy, you have done it." The ceremony continued with other cadets being honored, but for Mina and Armin, the world had narrowed to their shared presence. They had waited, endured, and now they were together in the place they both belonged. Mina sat quietly in the hall, her eyes fixed on her son, Armin. The sight of him in his uniform, standing tall and proud, filled her heart with an indescribable joy. She had dreamed of this moment for years, imagining him walking across the stage, medal in hand, smiling at her with gratitude and pride. But now that she was here, escorted by the 6 SEALs, she realized that her heart was filled not only with joy but also with relief. Inside the hall, the ceremony continued. The academy head gave a speech about courage, discipline, and honor. Families clapped and cadets straightened their backs, proud to be recognized for their hard work. Armin, however, could barely concentrate on the speeches. His eyes constantly searched for Mina's, and when he finally spotted her, his chest swelled with emotion. He could hardly believe that she was actually inside the hall, sitting just a few rows away from him. The 6 SEALs had positioned themselves strategically around Mina, ensuring that no one would attempt to stop her from staying. They had noticed the doubt and hesitation in the eyes of the guards, and were determined to make sure she was treated with the respect she deserved. Each SEAL carried himself with calm authority, yet their presence was unmistakable. The guards, seeing these decorated officers, understood immediately that arguing further would be pointless. Mina tried to remain calm, but her hands trembled slightly. She had never imagined that men so respected and decorated would personally ensure she could watch her son graduate. She felt both humbled and grateful. Quietly, she whispered, "Thank you, gentlemen," though she was sure they had already noticed the gratitude in her eyes. Armin's best friend, who had first noticed Mina outside, smiled discreetly at her. "Your mother is here," he whispered, leaning close to Armin. Armin's eyes widened and a tear threatened to escape. He could not believe it. His mother, who had sacrificed so much for him, was here, witnessing this day in person. The thought filled him with a strength he had never felt before. The ceremony moved on to the part where cadets were called one by one to receive special honors and medals. Each step toward the stage felt like a lifetime for Armin. He adjusted his uniform carefully, his heart beating fast. He had waited for this moment his entire life, and now the presence of his mother made it even more meaningful. Meanwhile, Mina's attention shifted from Armin to the SEALs around her. She noticed the respect in their eyes as they made sure she felt safe and comfortable. One of them, a man named Commander Naveed, leaned down slightly and whispered gently, "Do not worry, ma'am. You will not miss a single moment." His words carried reassurance and kindness. Mina nodded, her eyes filling with tears. She had never been treated with such honor before, yet the humility and warmth in their actions made her feel at ease. The applause grew louder as cadets received their awards. Mina's hands clutched the small gift she had brought for Armin, a pen with his name engraved on it. She had saved for months to buy it, imagining him using it as he wrote his first reports and letters during his service. Now she hoped that she could give it to him after the ceremony, a symbol of her love, pride, and sacrifices. Inside, Armin was called to receive a special recognition for his excellence in training. He marched confidently toward the stage, feeling both pride and nerves. The presence of his mother in the hall gave him a quiet strength. He knew that no matter what happened next, she was there to witness his success. As he received his medal and certificate, Armin scanned the hall until his eyes found Mina. Their gaze met, and in that moment no words were necessary. The pride, love, and gratitude flowed silently between them. Mina smiled warmly, holding her bag tightly, her heart racing with happiness. After the official part of the ceremony, the SEALs escorted Mina to a better seat closer to the stage. They wanted her to be able to see every moment without obstruction. The guards, though initially hesitant, stepped aside respectfully. Mina felt her heart swell with appreciation, not just for being allowed in, but for the honor and dignity she had been shown. Armin, now off the stage, walked toward her side of the hall, trying to catch a glimpse of her before the formal photographs began. He wanted to make sure she could see his medals, his uniform, and the pride he carried. As he walked, he noticed the 6 SEALs watching over her. He approached Mina carefully, bending slightly to whisper, "Mom, I can't believe you're here." Mina reached out her hand, brushing it gently against his. "I promised I would be here," she said softly. "I would never miss this day for anything in the world." Armin's eyes glistened with tears. For years he had watched her work tirelessly, giving up her own comfort so he could succeed. Now she was here, and it made the entire achievement feel complete. The photographers called cadets and their families to take pictures. Mina and Armin walked toward the designated area. The SEALs ensured that Mina had no trouble finding her way, guiding her politely yet confidently. When the cameras clicked, Mina held Armin close, her face beaming with pride. For a simple woman who had always lived a humble life, this was a moment of honor unlike any other. After the photographs, the crowd began to disperse. Families congratulated their children, and cadets exchanged hugs and handshakes with friends and instructors. Mina and Armin stayed together, quietly observing the joyous chaos. Armin felt a deep sense of gratitude for the SEALs, who had ensured that his mother could witness his success. He knew that without them she might have been left outside, her sacrifices unseen. Mina, noticing the subtle smiles and gestures of respect from the officers, felt a quiet warmth in her heart. She had never imagined that her simple life could intersect with such honor and recognition, but today, she realized that true respect comes not from wealth or status, but from integrity, patience, and the love shared between a mother and her child. As the hall began to empty, Armin and Mina walked together toward the exit. The SEALs followed behind, ensuring that they had a safe passage. Outside, the sun shone brightly, reflecting off the academy's walls and illuminating the proud faces of parents and graduates. Mina held her bag tightly, the small gift still inside, ready to present to her son at the perfect moment. Armin turned to her and said softly, "Mom, I could not have done this without you. Every day I felt your support, even when I struggled." "Thank you for everything." Mina smiled, her eyes glistening. My son, all I ever wanted was to see you happy and proud. Today you made my heart full. I'm already proud of you." The 6 seals exchanged satisfied glances. They had witnessed many events in their careers, but few moments carried the quiet dignity and profound meaning of what they had just helped accomplish. A simple woman, patient and humble, had been given her rightful place to witness the achievement of her son. Their presence had ensured that justice and respect were served, quietly and powerfully. As Mina and Armin walked away from the academy, families continued to celebrate, but for them, the world had shrunk to the two of them. The struggles, sacrifices, and waiting were now rewarded in a moment of shared pride. Mina's small gift, the engraved pen, would soon be handed to Armin as a symbol of the journey they had endured together. For Mina, the day had become more than just a graduation ceremony. It was a recognition of patience, resilience, and the quiet power of love. And for Armin, it was the culmination of years of effort, inspired and guided by the unwavering support of his mother. The seals remained in the background, watching quietly. They did not need applause or recognition. They had helped ensure that a mother could witness her child's triumph, and that was enough. Their respect for Mina was deep, born from seeing someone who embodied true courage and humility without ever raising her voice or demanding attention. Together, Mina and Armin stepped into the sunlight, the academy behind them a symbol of achievement and honor. They walked side by side, their bond stronger than ever, ready to face the world beyond the ceremony, knowing that love, patience, and sacrifice had created a moment that neither of them would ever forget. The ceremony had ended, but Mina remained seated, her eyes still fixed on Armin. Her heart was overflowing with pride and relief. She could hardly believe that after years of struggle, waiting, and sacrifice, she had finally witnessed her son's achievement in person. The memory of the guards who had refused her entry seemed distant, replaced by the warmth of this victorious moment. Armin walked toward her slowly, carrying his medals and certificates carefully in his hands. Each step seemed to echo through the hall, a quiet declaration of the years of effort, determination, and love that had brought him here. When he reached Mina, he stopped for a moment, taking in her presence. His mother, the woman who had worked tirelessly and quietly, was finally here, sharing in his success. Mina reached out to him, her hand trembling slightly. "My son," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. "I am so proud of you." Armin's eyes glistened with tears. He bent down slightly and held her hands tightly in his own. "Mom," he said softly, "I could not have done this without you. Every sacrifice, every moment you spent worrying about me, every time you worked hard so I could succeed, you made all of this possible." Mina smiled, a gentle tear rolling down her cheek. "I only wanted the best for you," she said. "And now, seeing you standing tall, I feel that all the hardships were worth it." The 6 seals, who had watched quietly from the side, stepped forward to offer congratulations. Commander Naveed spoke first, his voice calm but respectful. "Ma'am, it has been our honor to ensure you could witness your son's achievement. We have seen many ceremonies, but today has been truly special. Your patience and dignity are remarkable." Mina felt a deep warmth at their words. She had never sought recognition, yet she could not help but feel honored. The seals had treated her not as a simple woman, but as someone deserving of respect, someone whose love and courage had been visible even to strangers who understood true honor. Armand then stepped forward to present the small gift Mina had brought him. The engraved pen was simple but meaningful. He held it in his hands, turning it carefully to read his name. "Mom, this is beautiful," he said. "I will keep it with me always, and every time I use it I will remember your love and sacrifices." Mina's hands trembled as she smiled. "Use it wisely, my son," she said softly. "Write your story with honesty and courage. Let it remind you that you can overcome anything as long as you remain true to yourself." The academy staff noticed the touching interaction between mother and son. Some quietly stepped aside to allow them space, while others whispered to each other, clearly impressed by the quiet dignity and love between them. Even the guards who had initially refused her entry now watched respectfully, realizing that the simple woman they had underestimated carried more strength and honor than they could have imagined. Armin's fellow cadets approached to congratulate him. They shook hands and exchanged smiles, but his eyes always returned to Mina. She was his anchor, his source of inspiration, and he wanted her to share in every moment. He took a deep breath and said, "Mom, I want you to meet my friends." They have trained with me, laughed with me, and supported me through everything. You have to see them too." Mina nodded, standing slowly with the support of one of the SEALs. She walked toward Armand's group of friends, who welcomed her warmly. They listened intently as she shared brief stories of Armand's childhood, the struggles they had faced together, and the love and care she had poured into raising him. Her humility, combined with the evident pride in her son, impressed everyone around her. Afterward, the photographers returned to capture more formal family photos. Mina and Armand posed together, their expressions filled with genuine happiness. The SEALs stood nearby, ensuring that nothing disrupted this precious moment. Mina held her son's hand tightly, feeling the connection stronger than ever. Once the photographs were taken, Mina and Armand stepped outside. The sunlight greeted them warmly, reflecting off the academy walls and casting a golden glow on the graduates and their families. Mina looked around, seeing the proud faces of parents, the excited chatter of young children, and the laughter of cadets celebrating their achievements. It was a world she had always observed from the outside, yet now she was part of it, fully acknowledged and respected. Armand turned to her and said, "Mom, today has been the happiest day of my life, and it is only complete because you were here." Mina smiled, feeling tears of joy fill her eyes again. "My son," she said, "your happiness has always been my happiness. I am proud not just of what you have achieved today, but of the person you have become, courageous, kind, and honorable." The SEALs, noticing the depth of their bond, approached one last time. Commander Naveed spoke softly. "Ma'am, we wish you and your son all the best. Your story today is one we will remember. It shows that true honor is not in wealth or appearance, but in patience, courage, and love." Mina bowed her head slightly in gratitude. "Thank you," she said. "You have made today even more meaningful than I could have imagined." Armand, feeling a surge of pride and gratitude, suggested they take a short walk around the academy grounds. Mina agreed, and together they strolled along the neatly maintained paths. Flowers bloomed along the edges, and the gentle breeze carried the sounds of laughter and celebration. They walked slowly, savoring every moment, knowing that the day had been long, emotional, and unforgettable. As they reached a quiet garden area, Armand turned to his mother. "Mom, I want everyone to know how much you have done for me. I want to tell my friends, my teachers, and even the world that my success belongs to you as much as it does to me." Mina smiled, placing her hand on his shoulder. "You don't need to tell anyone," she said. "I know you know, and that is enough. True pride does not need applause. It is in the heart, in the quiet moments we share, and in the knowledge that we have done our best." Armand nodded, feeling the wisdom in her words. He realized that her patience, sacrifices, and love had shaped him into the man he had become. He had always admired her strength, but now he understood it fully. Every challenge, every obstacle, every moment of struggle had been a step toward this moment, and Mina had carried them all with grace. The day slowly came to an end. Families began to leave, cadets returned to their quarters, and the academy grounds emptied. Mina and Armand sat on a bench holding hands, reflecting on the journey that had led them here. The presence of the SEALs had made the day even more remarkable, not because of their fame or authority, but because they had recognized the quiet courage of a mother who had always been overlooked. As the sun began to set, casting warm orange and pink hues across the sky, Mina looked at her son and whispered, "Remember, Armand, every achievement is sweeter when shared with those who love and support us. Today is your day, but it is also ours." Armand squeezed her hand gently. "I will never forget this day, Mom. It is the happiest day of my life. I will carry your love, lessons, and strength with me always." The SEALs, seeing the bond between mother and son, quietly nodded to each other. They had fulfilled their purpose. They had ensured that a humble, patient, and loving mother received the honor she deserved. Today they had witnessed a story of courage, respect, and dignity that went far beyond medals and ceremonies. Mina finally presented Armand with the engraved pen. He held it in his hand, turning it carefully to see his name, and then looked at his mother. "I will treasure this, Mom," he said. "It will remind me of your sacrifices, your love, and this unforgettable day." Mina's eyes shone with happiness. "Use it wisely, my son," she said. "Write your story with honesty and courage. Let it remind you that love and patience can overcome any obstacle." The day ended with Mina and Armand walking home together, The world around them seemed brighter, filled with new possibilities and hope. Mina's heart was full, knowing that her sacrifices had not been in vain. Armin's heart was equally full, knowing that his achievements were built on the unwavering love and support of his mother. In that quiet moment, with the sunset painting the sky and the academy behind them, Mina realized that life had given her more than she had ever imagined. Her simple presence, her patience, and her dignity had been honored. Her son's success was a reflection of their journey together, and nothing could ever take that away. The story of that day would remain in their hearts forever. A simple woman had faced challenges, refused to give up, and witnessed her son achieve greatness. 6 seals had stood by her side, recognizing her quiet courage. And Armin, proud and grateful, knew that his mother was his true hero. Together, they walked into the future, their bond stronger than ever, carrying with them a story of love, respect, and honor that would never be forgotten.